Hi everybody, Andrew Douglas from Bryn Mawr Film Institute here with this week's edition of Ask Andrew. You can go to the Bryn Mawr Film Institute website, find our Film Studies Online page, and see the Ask Andrew forum where you can submit a question about any film topic you want. Each week I'll make a little video like this one where I answer the most interesting questions that I know the answers to. Hopefully next week I'll be answering a question from you. This week we have two questions, one about one film in particular and one that applies to pretty much every movie over the last 30 or 40 years. The first question is about Alfred Hitchcock's 1946 film Notorious, and I will say that if you haven't seen it, and you really should, you might not want to listen to this answer or question because there are some spoilers in it. But even if you do and you haven't seen the movie, it's still great, so still check it out. Okay, here's the question. It comes from Joan, and Joan writes, "Dear Andrew, my adult son and I watched Notorious the other night. I've seen it a million times, but he hadn't, and loved it. He had a really good question about the ending. We assume that Alex will be toast when he goes back inside. But if Sebastian's Nazi cohorts are onto Alicia, why don't they follow them out?" Well, Joan, that's a good question. And the answer is that Sebastian's Nazi cohorts are not onto Alicia. As far as they know, she's just sick. He hasn't told anyone what he and his mother are up to. He's trying to take care of the problem himself so he doesn't suffer the same fate as that other conspirator earlier in the film. And that is why he goes out there with them, and that's why when Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman get in the car, Claude Rains begs them to take him with them, because if he doesn't go with them, because his wife is sick as far as they know, that's really suspicious and they'll figure out something's up. So if he went with her, they just would have assumed she's sick and they're taking her to the hospital and that's that. But because he didn't go with her and he didn't accompany his very sick wife to the hospital, that is why they figure out that something else is going on and why Alex is dreading going back to that group and back in the house. I hope that answers your question. Okay, on to our second question. This one comes from Barb Mathers, and it's another really good one. Barb writes, "I've wondered about the various film companies that are credited at the beginning of a film. How do they work together? Who does what?" Well, Barb, that's a really good question. And I'm sure you, like many of us, have noticed that over the recent years and decades, the list of companies that appear at the beginning of a movie, before the action starts, before the stars are listed, is getting longer and longer. And this is really for a few different reasons. Back in the day, the studios, that's the big title card company that we see first, the Paramount, the Warner Brothers, the Universal, the names we all know. Back in the day, they used to not only distribute the films, which is what they still do, they used to finance them entirely. In fact, they very often employed everyone who worked on the movie. But as the business changed and the movie business became more competitive both domestically and abroad, they started to get out of that business and they did less and less financing of, certainly of whole films, and even to some extent partial financing of films, although they still typically do that. And so what those companies are that you see at the beginning are different production companies involved in producing the film that have, in most cases, offered some financing. On a rare occasion, they're there because of a creative contribution. This is typically the case when it's the director's production company. Most of them have their own after they have at least a little success. Or the star's production company. Many of them have their own. Some of them are quite successful. Brad Pitt has won Oscars for producing films like 12 Years a Slave. George Clooney's has been successful as well. But the rest of the ones that aren't tied to the director or a star are typically production companies that have provided some type of financing for the film. They've either given up, or I should say given, some sort of financing, a portion of the budget in exchange for a portion of the revenue that the film takes in, or else they've given money to the budget of the film, to the production of the film, in exchange for having the rights to distribute the film in a specific market. If you notice, a lot of those companies tend to have names that suggest they are from other countries. And in some cases, When a production company from, let's say, Germany gives money to a big Hollywood production, it's in exchange for the right to distribute the film in Germany, or at least to be the primary backer of the film in Germany in partnership with the major studio that probably handles the logistics of worldwide distribution. But those are what those companies are. And this goes for companies that have a sort of big animated kind of title card right after that Universal or Paramount logo, as well as the ones that quote unquote just get their name before even the star's name in the film. And a lot of these companies are really just exist to help finance films. Some of them are hedge funds, some of them are complete other industries, but some of them are production companies that are really interested in helping finance movies they think will be successful and will be interesting. Two examples actually come from the same family. Annapurna, which went from being a production company to trying to be more of a distributor and kind of bit off more than it could chew. But Annapurna was the production company owned by Megan Ellison, daughter of Larry Ellison, the tech billionaire. And her company Annapurna produced a lot of really wonderful films of very high quality. Zero Dark 30 comes to mind. Her brother David Ellison has his own production company called Skydance. He's more interested in blockbuster type films, financing or helping to finance films like the 2009 Star Trek reboot, or the recent Terminator reboots, things like that. In any case, those are some of the reasons why you see all those companies' names before the movie sort of actually gets started. Thanks for the question. And thank you for joining us for the first session of Ask Andrew. I hope you will go to the Film Studies Online page on the Bryn Mawr Film Institute website and submit some more questions. And maybe next week you'll tune in and I will be answering yours. Till then, take care and enjoy the movies. Bye.